Hello and welcome back to our blog. I am Jim Cuervo, your senior trainer and tech support here at Digital Drafting Systems. Today's topic is Chapter 3 of our massing series, composed of 3 chapters. In the last chapter, we explored what we can do with the volumes created from the shapes we looked in Chapter 1. So I highly recommend that you look at this series in order. In this exercise, we will begin with what can be said to be the eventual structure's footprint. Then we will slice it, or rather extrude it, then slice it, followed by editing and a short look at voids and how they affect the massing. And last but not least, we will then look at how to assign walls, roofs, and floors. Sounds exciting? Let's get going. Okay, as you can see, we've already defined what it's eventually going to be our building footprint. So let's go ahead and select it. Now you'll notice that I don't have any extrusions, and the reason is because in this particular case, in order to get here, I had to exit the creation of the massings and so we can come back from the shape. So what we do is select the shape that is the beginning of the massing. We see that the edit in place is becoming available, so we select edit in place. We then reselect the shape in order to get the form tools. To create form tools, we'll open that up and we'll select solid form from the list. As we saw earlier, it automatically gives us a height. Let's go ahead and give it a specific height. Let's call this one 50 feet. So it will be 10-foot floors. Okay, so it's five stories. Very well. Now that we've got that done, let's go ahead and create some of the levels. So what we're going to have to exit and we'll come back to finish editing. So let's go ahead and finish the massing now. Let's go to the north elevation. We know that we can only create levels in the elevations or sections. Okay, so we'll do at this point, we'll come over here to the architecture tab. We know how to create our levels. Let's go ahead and give it a 10-foot offset. And then we'll just say we're not going to create structural. And we really don't care about whether it's ceiling or floor, but I really don't want structural, so we'll just take that off. And I'll go ahead and click once. That would be 20, third, 20. This is 30, fourth floor, 40, and let's say 50. Okay, great. So now we'll move over to 3D, see how the massing is actually looking in front of the levels exactly as we wanted it. That is perfect. Okay, and now this is the place where we actually can go ahead and define some slices. And we cannot define the slices if we do not have levels. That's very important. So that's why I created the levels first. I select the massing once again, and I go back to edit in place. Okay, select the massing again, but use the tab option to select the complete massing, which gives us then, okay, the ability for us to go ahead and modify some other parts of the structure. But since we're creating slices, you'll notice that it doesn't let us create slices at this point. You see that? So the reason why is because slicing is not going to be as part of the actual massing. It's going to be in addition to the massing. So if I actually select the massing itself, that's when I see the mass floors. You see that? So when I hit select mass floors, it's going to tell me what floors are available based on the levels. So we'll just go ahead and select them all by clicking a little check mark next to each one of these and say OK. As you can see now, we have our massings, okay, and it is now sliced. Now that we have the slicing done, giving us nice flat levels, or what eventually will be the levels or the slab for the levels, okay, we can actually go ahead and edit in place and come over here. And if I want to modify some of these aspects here, all you have to do is just go ahead and select the edge that defines that particular profile and edit profile, at which case I can then go ahead and fix whatever I need to fix. Okay, if I wanted to go ahead and let's go ahead and cancel this here for now and modify the bottom profile. Okay, I can then select that and modify that. Okay, I'm not going to because I happen to like the particular shape that we've got here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and X out of modifying the particular structure. Okay, so we have this all together. Great, so we're back to where we have. Okay, now we talked about voids, and we're going to see voids in the following way. We're actually going to make a little kind of a little balcony here. So let's go ahead and go to the top view. Okay, let's go ahead into hidden forms. Let's take off our shadows. They're getting a bit in the way. And let's go ahead and create massing. Select this object first. Okay, we'll go ahead and set it, end it in place. And we'll go ahead and define a rectangle. Let's go ahead and define the rectangle, say like this. Okay, and let's go ahead and create another one, say like that. Okay, now that we've got that done, let's go ahead and do a little bit of cleanup by selecting this particular one. We know how to modify these. Okay, so we needed to get rid of that one, and we need to get rid of this one here because we're going to connect these two and then clean that up. So let's go ahead and do the cleanups. Okay, clean that corner up and clean this corner up. Great. Once that's done, I can go modify and select this shape. Let's go ahead into a south view, see where that shape is. Notice where it is. That's fine. We're going to actually place that balcony in level, what level is that? That level 4 right here. Okay. And so let's go ahead and extrude by create form. This time we said it was going to be a void. Okay, and we'll go ahead and bring this bottom level down to level 4, which is right here. And we'll just go ahead and make sure that actually, and we'll lock onto it if we want to or not. That's up to you. I'm actually going to bring it up a little bit. So if this is 20 feet, I want this to be 17 feet. I can then change it here very easily. And that piece is 17 feet tall. Let's go ahead now and select the upper part by reselecting, and by that I use the tab in order to be able to locate my item. Oops, let's go ahead and say modify here. Let's go ahead and select this item back again. Okay, and let's go ahead and move it down a little bit. We can actually do this. Select it. Okay, and we can nudge it down a little bit like that. Then we can come over here and select it again like this, and we can see where it is. Okay, it's looking pretty decent. It's going to be a nice little height there. Okay, for that area is going to open up to 2 stories. Let's go ahead and say finish here. So we can now look at this in a different way. As you can see right here, let's go ahead and look at it in shaded mode so we can see it a little bit better. Okay, as you can see at this point, oops, wrong mode. Here we go. As you can see here, we do have a nice little opening happening there. Okay, and believe it or not, guys, that's pretty much it as far as the massing is concerned, apart from the fact that you now have to define what are going to be walls and what are not going to be walls. Okay, and so to do that is rather a very simple item. Once again, um, I wanted to actually emphasize one aspect is that I do not like to place materials when I'm doing conceptual massing. And the reason why I don't like to put materials is because I want the client to concentrate on the actual shape and the massing and the design of it, the look of it. As far as the materials are concerned, that's something to be defined later, not at this point, okay? And once again, this is just my point of view. So now that this is all done, what we'll do now is very simple. We can come back over here to the massing and site and go to walls by face, or we can go to architecture and walls by face. Either one will work, okay? If I wanted to create a curtain wall, which in reality, we're going to be taking these more organic shapes on the outside to be the curtain walls. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and convert all of these walls into the 8-inch CMU. So I'll open this up, go to wall by face, I come over here and it's CMU, it would be the wrong actual material because that is a material. So I'm using the generic, it's got no material. And so what I'll do is I'll go ahead, if I need to, I go ahead and change my justification. So I'm just going to leave them as they are and start selecting the faces that are going to be defined as my solid walls. Okay, once they are defined, I'm missing one here and one more there. Okay, once these solid walls are defined, okay, I can then come back and go ahead and switch here to, let's say, a storefront, and let's say that's going to be a storefront. Give it a second, and that's going to be a storefront. So now we have two storefronts. Okay, and rather than use a storefront in this one, I'm going to go ahead and use a curtain wall. So I'm going to go back to massing and site, and I'm going to use this one. So you see that whether I use this one here or I use the one in architecture, I will get the same results. Okay, which is this one. I'll go ahead and define this section in here to be one. And I'll continue to select faces. And once I have all of my faces selected, all I have to do is say create. And the software will go ahead and generate all of the mathematical equations and mathematical items that it has to do in order to define the item the way I want it. I see that I missed two other blocks here, or two other walls here. Let's go ahead back to architecture. Select by face, come back and reselect the one that we want, which is the 8-inch generic, because these are all generic walls, and there we are. We have that. Okay. Once that's done, we can then come back over here and we can start to define our slabs. Let's go ahead and say that we're going to define the slabs, and let's go ahead and go wireframe here because I really do need to see some of these. Let's go ahead and define the slabs by going to massing and site. We go to floors, okay? And instead of this generic one, I'm actually going to use this lightweight lightweight concrete one just for the sake of argument. So I'm going to say that that's going to be one, okay? And then I'm going to tell it that that's going to be another one, and this one, and this one, okay? Once I do that, I say create the walls, and they're created. Now, the reason why I didn't do the bottom one is because that one, in reality, I don't want it to be that lightweight concrete. I'm going to say a 12-inch slab. So you see that we can actually do that in any size we want. Come back over here to architecture. We can go to floors. You'll see that you have the same tool here as you do in massing and site, which is where we started. Okay, and in this case, it's going back to the 12-inch one. Select the bottom surface and say create it, and there it is. Let's go get out of this and let's go ahead and make this into a shaded view. Okay, and it's starting to look pretty darn good. Let's go ahead now and define our roof. We'll go ahead a nice flat roof on this by going either to massing and site and defining roof by surface, or we can go ahead and select, sorry, wrong place. Here in build, we can go to roofs, or we can select roof by surface. I'm going to say that's pretty good, and I will select this top surface here. Now you'll notice that in this particular one you cannot use the offset. It's not going to give you an offset the way you would think. So let's go ahead and see how it would really be if we wanted to create one that has an offset. That is actually done in this fashion, okay? We go to ceilings. Oops, sorry, wrong place. That's not ceilings. It's actually roofs. But instead of going roof by face, which doesn't allow us to give an offset for the overhang, I'm going to say roof by footprint. Okay, it's not level 2, it's actually going to be level 6, because that's the roof of this. This is 6 levels. And I'm going to say yes, attach. And then I'm going to say select. But once I say select, I'm going to give it an offset, let's say 10, and I'm going to start offsetting 10 to the outside. So I'm going to go offset there. And also, I forgot to tell you, deselect define slopes from right here. This one will come back later, but you'll notice that every one of these little puppies starts to actually clean up very nicely. Okay, and let's see over here, we have this one and we have that one. Okay, and we have this one and we have that one. Okay, and we have that one and we have that one. We'll fix it later in a second. And let's go ahead and pan it over. Okay, and we've got that one and we've got that one right there. Okay, this one seems to be a little bit too much. So I'm hitting escape a couple of times and I'm selecting that one, getting rid of that. Okay, that's looking pretty darn good. Let's go ahead and go to the top view here and let's go ahead and select this item, and you'll notice in the properties I can actually go ahead and define roof slopes and remove that. Okay, let's go ahead and see if these two clean up. They don't, so let's go ahead and move this slightly lower, or rather let's go ahead and shorten this way so we break that separation, and we'll go ahead and move it endpoints to SQ for snap to the quadrant, so we have a nice thing happening there. Let's go ahead and clean up some of these points here. Okay, let's go ahead and remove these two. Obviously, at this point, we're not going to need them. Let's go ahead and clean up this section here. Okay, let's go ahead and clean up this pieces. And let's take a look and see where else we need some cleanup. Here and here. And that's looking pretty decent. Let's go ahead and say check mark. Save the project if you have to, obviously, but in this case, I'm going to say attach. Okay, everything is looking good. And at this point, I'm almost done with my little model here. The last thing is maybe I should add a nice little railing here. So let's go ahead into, this is level 4. So let's go to level 4. Okay, and let's go ahead and draw our little railing by going to architecture, railings. Okay, let's go ahead and say the guardrail pipe, and I'm going to start it here. I'm going to go to there, and I'm going to finish it there. Okay, and then I'm going to say check mark to that. And let's go back to 3D to see what it looks like. Hey, it looks pretty decent. Okay, my structure is looking pretty darn good. One last thing so I can see it in a much better light, which would be to actually go ahead and turn off my massing by going to the massing in sight. Okay, it's already off, but I still see it. That's this blue area in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this way. This will capture the massing. Go to the filter here. Okay, there's my massing and floors. Go ahead and deselect everything except massing and floors. Okay, and say okay to that. And so one way to do it would be to actually go ahead in this particular view and hide it like this. Okay, by going right click and hide elements. Okay, so now you've hid the elements. Another way of actually doing it would be to go to the visibility graphics. Okay, let's go to massing And then you have your mass floors in here. Apply. That would be this little line right here. We'll say apply to that. And as you can see, you can go one way or another. Okay, and let's go ahead and put on some shadows to see what this looks like. And as we can see, it doesn't look that bad. It's just a matter now of dressing it up and making it presentable for the client to actually look at the design. So with that, this has been Jim Cuervo for Digital Drafting Systems, saying thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed our 3-chapter series on massings. Till the next one, thank you very much. Stay safe and healthy. Till the next one.